Today's lesson is all about the digestive system and how our digestive system works to give us those carbohydrates, proteins, fats that our body needs that we just learned about. Okay, so obviously we're familiar with our digestive system, right? We all like to eat. There are certain foods that we like to eat better than others. But what exactly happens when we eat our food? That's what today's lesson is all about. So in your notes, you will see it says digestion, and then it gives you a spot to write something down, okay? Digestion is simply the process of breaking down food into molecules for your use. So in other words, we're taking that hamburger and we are eating it, and when we eat it, through the digestive process, we are breaking that hamburger down into proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, and different things that our body can use to make us healthy. Okay, so we're going to talk about how that works today. There is a video in the PowerPoint. I've actually gone past it at this point of my presentation. Make sure you watch it. It's really helpful, but I'm going to explain some of that today as we go through. So the digestive process, we have to review back to when we learned about digestion. Okay, we learned about this when we talked about animals. There's two types of digestion. There's mechanical digestion. This occurs when the food is either crushed or ground into smaller pieces. Okay, we use our teeth for that, right? And then there's chemical digestion. This is when the food particles are broken into molecules using either enzymes or acids. Now these enzymes can be in our saliva, they can be in our stomach or small intestine. Those enzymes help to break the food down into even smaller pieces, okay? Your body takes in the nutrients, which in a process called absorption. So when we talk about absorption, absorption is this process where the vitamins and minerals and fats and carbohydrates are being absorbed back into our body. And assimilation is how your body uses the absorbed nutrients, okay? So in order to understand all this, you need to understand what the, why aren't we moving? Alimentary canal is, okay? This alimentary canal, your digestive system includes organs that are a part of this canal, and it also includes what we call accessory organs. Now, organs that are a part of this canal are essentially any of the organs where the food actually is or passes, okay? Now, there are some extra organs that aid in this process, but the food doesn't actually go into them, and so that's the difference. So you'll see over here we've got our esophagus, liver, stomach, pancreas, gallbladder, small intestine, large intestine, appendix, and rectum. Not all of those are a part of the alimentary canal, okay? The food comes through the esophagus into the stomach, to the small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and then out your anus. And those are the ones that are a part of the alimentary canal. So you will see that in my demonstration here in a second. For your note, you can write down, it is a tube composed of several different digestive organs where digestion takes place, okay? Give you a second to write that down. A tube composed of several different digestive organs. This is where digestion takes place, okay? Now, I have for you guys a couple of things, okay? I'm gonna put this on our guy over here. He's starting to get a few more pieces to him. Okay, you will notice right around this area of your throat, okay, in front of your ribs, okay, are these organs. Now, this here is your esophagus, okay? The food passes down into your esophagus, into your stomach. Behind all of this is going to be your large intestine. So I'm just going to take that on as best I can, okay? And I'm going to walk you through the process. Okay, so the digestive process. First things first, both digestive organs and accessory organs are involved in this process. Even though the food doesn't necessarily pass through the accessory organs, they still play a very important role, okay? Your mouth or your teeth is where you first perform this process. Now, mechanical, we're going to pretend this right here is our mouth for a minute, okay? We're going to do a couple different things with this. We've got some crackers we want to eat. When you put crackers into your mouth, two things happen. Actually, even before you put the cracker into your mouth, you just look at the cracker and what does your mouth start doing? You're thinking about a yummy, delicious cracker. And your mouth starts to water, right? You start to create more saliva. You know that you actually produce 1.5 liters of saliva a day. So we got some saliva here. We're going to add it to our crackers, okay? A little saliva. Then what do? We take our teeth and we chomp, okay? So we're chomping, our saliva is mixing, okay? It's creating this bolus, okay? This bolus is this clump of food that starts in your mouth and then travels down your esophagus, okay? This here is your esophagus. As it travels down, a process called peristalsis starts to occur. And that peristalsis is essentially a contraction, okay? And so your esophagus starts to contract. And as it contracts, what is it doing? It's pushing the food down so that it can get to your stomach. So, some of these went away, okay? When you swallow, your food moves into your esophagus, which I just said, which pushes the food down towards your stomach. Peristalsis, excuse me, I don't know why I did so many. Again, previous. Peristalsis continues throughout the alimentary canal, which means your stomach, it just keeps, the esophagus starts it and it just keeps moving it through, okay? Food then enters your stomach where it becomes a pasty substance called chyme, okay? So imagine this has traveled through my esophagus and pretend this bag now is my stomach, okay? Once you get to the stomach, a couple of things start to happen. Your pancreas starts to produce digestive juices, and we've got some hydrochloric acid from our stomach, so we're going to add some lemon juice to it, okay? So that's your pancreas. Oops, is that not in there? Oh yeah, that should be after this. Sorry, that's in the wrong order. Then your liver, actually this does happen in the small intestine, my bad. Okay, so the chyme passes, so the hydrochloric acid is added, okay, and what your stomach does is it actually starts to pound, and it spends like 3 hours mixing this up more and more and more. So the hydrochloric acid in there starts to dissolve things, it starts to get things going, but then this gross pasty stuff is going to be passed to your small intestine, okay? This is going to be my small intestine in just a second. But before I do that, I'm going to add what the pancreas and the liver add, which is the bile and the pancreatic juices. So we're going to add a little bit of this to it, just to add a little fun, okay? And so the pancreas releases enzymes into the small intestine, and the liver produces bile, which is stored in the gallbladder. Now, this is your liver here, and this is your pancreas, okay? So let me add your liver, which sort of sits right on top of the stomach area here. A little high for that, but right around there. Oops. Okay. And then your pancreas sits in the back. So I'm just going to add him in right as well. Okay, they sort of connect. Stick that in like that, okay? All right. Pancreas is sort of sitting up on top, but it's good for where it's at, okay? So once we get into the small intestine, okay, we now have this chyme that's really kind of liquidy, it's kind of pasty, and to it, we are going to add that to our small intestine, okay? Bile, I was going to say this, bile is the digestive juices. Not digestive juices. It is what helps to digest fats, okay? So from this, inside here, you will see there is my, the food, the chyme is now being passed. So I'm gonna squirt and notice what's happening, okay? The water, some of the water is getting absorbed, okay? And the food is being, it's kind of being like broken down, and some of that extra juice is being absorbed, okay? Essentially what's happening is the bile is digesting the fat, okay, and breaking it down into fatty acids, and it's breaking the proteins down into their smaller components, which are amino acids, and it's breaking down the carbs into their smaller components, which is glucose. So all of these bigger molecules are getting broken down into smaller molecules, and then they are getting absorbed by the small intestine. Now, all along your small intestine are these microscopic structures called the villi, okay? And the villi, essentially, they increase the surface area and allow you to absorb those molecules that your body needs, and then they take it to the blood, and the blood can take it to the different cells that need that energy, okay? But what happens with the food that's still in our small intestine? Well, it gets passed on, and this includes things like leftover fiber, any water that's still in there, any dead cells. So you can see kind of nasty and gross in there, okay? We're gonna pass it along into our large intestine, okay, where we're gonna, this looks so gross, just so we're clear. We're gonna absorb the rest of the water, okay? Lots of water is getting absorbed here. And then it's gonna get passed down into your rectum, okay? And this, essentially, this process is going to take all that dead cells and whatnot, put it into your rectum. Okay, oh, I just did it the wrong way. I should have put it into that one, okay? And then essentially what happens, this is super gross up here, just so we're all clear. I wish you were here to see it in person. Essentially it gets squeezed. I wished I had more, but it would come out through that little hole there. You can see it's starting to come out. I just don't have a lot, okay? And so once your rectum feels enough, it's gonna push it out and push it down into the toilet. And you go, and now it's stool that has been released, okay? So a big gross mess over here. Blah. It smells delightful. All right, so that last section is the remaining undigested food enters the large intestine or colon, where the water and the minerals are absorbed, and then the remaining material moves into the rectum and is eliminated as waste, okay? So essentially the food travels down here into the stomach, okay? Then it goes into the small intestine. This part here is the small intestine. It's actually like 30 meters long. It's super long, okay? So hopefully you can see this here. All right, after it goes into the small intestines and all the molecules are absorbed, then it will go into your large intestine, where the remaining water is gonna get squeezed out, and you're gonna be left with stool that can now exit your anus. And yes, this should all be a little bit lower on my guy, but you know, we're doing what we're doing. So anyways, guys, that's digestion. We are going to do the activity manual sheet together on Zoom. I want you to do the homework though that's listed on RunWeb, okay? So I will see you guys tomorrow on Zoom. I hope you're well. Hope that made sense, and I miss you all very much. Bye.